Brian Williams has been all over the news lately. And while he's getting the shaming he deserves, don't think for a second that there aren't thousands of other people out there selling you lies every single day. And I want to make sure you don't lose sight of another liar who thinks she can use the heroism of our nation's armed forces to promote herself as the next commander-in-chief.
I certainly do remember that trip to Bosnia, and as Togo said, there was a saying around the White House that if a place was too small, too poor, or too dangerous, the president couldn't go, so send the First Lady. And that's where we went. And I remember landing under sniper fire. There was supposed to be some kind of a greeting ceremony at the airport, but instead we just ran with our heads down to get into the vehicles to get to our base. But it was a moment of great pride for me.
So Hillary claimed she dodged sniper fire to get to her car. Here's a video of what really happened. And in the footage, I'm not sure I see any sniper fire.
That's Senator Clinton talking to me on the military flight into Tuzla. And these are the pictures we recorded of the greeting ceremony when the plane landed.
From the footage, I'm not sure I see any sniper fire. And what makes this truly disgusting to me is that when she was called on it, she dismissed it as if it was no big deal. Only someone completely arrogant, ignorant, and disrespectful of what really happens in war could say something like that, and all to get people to like you more. I've seen sniper fire, and there's nothing casual, nothing small, and nothing ordinary about fighting for your life on the battlefield. There is an undeniable feeling that we all get when we learn of the selfless stories being told about the men and women who have sacrificed everything on the battlefield for our freedom. Those stories humble us, and they inspire us to wake up every single day and accomplish even more. Hillary was willing to lie in order to take advantage of that feeling of gratitude and awe Americans have for those who serve. Oh, I was under sniper fire and I know what it feels like to be in war. When she was called out for lying in that speech, she tried to make excuses saying she misspoke or her memory was hazy and she's only human. In my 12-year military career, I never heard an excuse like that from my leadership. It's impossible to even imagine that happening. When you fight a war or you lead a country, there are no excuses. Every day for 12 years, I had a front row seat to watch the most awe-inspiring feats of human achievement anyone has ever witnessed. Nothing matches the feeling you get seeing guys suppress the fear of death in order to fight for their brothers and fight for the freedom of the men and women back home. When you see that, when you truly see it and live it and experience it, those moments that you shared on the battlefield, the heroism and the courage you witnessed, will drive you and inspire you and humble you every single day for the rest of your life. And to associate yourself with that, not by action but by lying, is as dishonorable as anything I can imagine. Brian Williams is a joke, and he's getting the public shaming he deserves. But Brian Williams never ran for president, and he never laid claim to the title Commander-in-Chief. There's a different set of rules for people who do. And Hillary, the fact that you think the brave and selfless acts of our nation's heroes are yours to falsely associate yourself with just to advance your career proves that you are not worthy of the office you seek.
Lone Survivor is the true story of Navy SEALs on a 2005 covert mission in Afghanistan. Harsh film criticism by the left, some calling it pro-war propaganda, while others are questioning the mission itself. Here with his reaction is former Navy SEAL Christopher Mark Heben. All right, Chris, you served in Afghanistan. You were a Navy SEAL for 10 years. You know Marcus Luttrell, the man who wrote the book and who is, described in the movie, and many of the others. What's your reaction to this left's criticism of the movie?
Well, Judge, I believe the word that was used was jingoistic. And I'm sorry, but any movie that's pro-America in any way, shape, or form about our stance on the globe could be labeled as jingoistic. So I don't buy that word. That's complete BS that it's even attached to this project. What people need to understand is, as SEALs, we are the nation's 911 response team. We are put out there on the very edges of risk. Oftentimes, we're guided only by our moral compasses. One week, we're helping to establish U.S. foreign policy, and the next week, we're enforcing it with extreme prejudice. We don't get sent to build churches or to build schools or hospitals. When we're sent somewhere, it's to make a person, place, or a thing disappear. And Lone Survivor certainly pays tribute to our moral compass, as evidenced by the fact that they let those sheep herders go, which basically bit them in the backsides.
Well, when you talk about, the mission and how Marcus is, in the book and in the movie, I mean, that is a mission the type of mission that you've been involved in, and you actually know Marcus. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Marcus and I are friends. I'm friends with his wife, Melanie. I mean, these guys, this is a personal account of Marcus's harrowing experience. He lost 3 really good friends on the ground with him and another 8 guys in the air. It's unconscionable that anyone would even try to pick apart this story and inject any political slant to it whatsoever.
Well, there was so much that was written. The criticism was that the book that Marcus wrote about himself and his fellow SEAL members, didn't question the strategy in Afghanistan. And they complained that the writer, Marcus, who was putting his life on the line, was enamored of George Bush. I mean, what's wrong with that?
No, there's nothing wrong with that. George Bush is from Texas. Marcus is from Texas. I mean, come on. That just makes total sense to me. I mean, it's ridiculous.
But think about it. Chris, we just talked about Benghazi.
Yeah.
4 civilians there with a warning. No one sends. President Obama doesn't send assets. He still won't answer any questions. And yet they're criticizing George Bush when we find out from Secretary of Defense Gates that the president, didn't even believe in the surge in Afghanistan. Why is there a double standard?
This administration is basically on mission right now for one thing, and that's to position Hillary Clinton for election in 2016. And let me make something very clear. Nobody that wears a Navy SEAL trident on their chest, nobody is a fan of Obama. Nobody is a fan of Hillary Clinton, period. Those 4 gentlemen that were killed in Benghazi should be getting the Congressional Gold Medal right now. And hopefully Debbie Lee with AmericasMightyWarriors.org can make that happen. That needs to happen, period. And Judge, let me tell you this. Me and some of my good friends, all former SEALs, are working on a project right now that is going to expound upon everything that's out there right now in Benghazi.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, this country, the people here are very interested in it because it's not often that we get the lies that we've been experiencing from this administration. All right. Christopher Mark-Eben, thanks for being with us this evening.
Thank you, Judge.
All right.
Welcome back. A former Navy SEAL taking aim at Hillary Clinton, creating a controversial T-shirt reading, "Hillary Clinton killed my friends," and it's getting a lot of attention. So joining us now is former Navy SEAL Tej Gill, who called Ty Woods his mentor and was roommates with Glenn Doherty in Afghanistan. His organization, Project Warpath, created the shirts. Good morning, Tej.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm okay, thanks. So, very controversial. You've got bumper stickers and T-shirts that you say are very popular in the SEAL community that say, "Hillary Clinton killed my friends." What do you mean by that?
That's right. A friend of mine created the bumper stickers, and the bumper stickers have gone viral. We've had nothing but positive feedback inside and outside of the SEAL community. So I started making these T-shirts. The back of the T-shirts say, "Hillary Clinton killed my friend." It's the bumper sticker on the back. Everywhere we go, everyone that wears them, we get nothing but positive feedback, thumbs up, great T-shirt, did you serve, where can I get one? People love them.
So tell us why it is that you blame Hillary Clinton and not the terrorists in Benghazi for killing your 2 friends.
The reason I blame Hillary Clinton and not the terrorists, I blame the terrorists also, but the reason I blame Hillary Clinton is because she was in charge of the State Department. She was the Secretary of State. The consulate ultimately was her responsibility. The security at the consulate was poor at best. The terrorists literally pushed the gate open and walked in. The security that was there was local security. They weren't trained. They weren't vetted. They didn't have American supervisors. They just threw down their guns and walked away when the attack started. So my friends down the street at the CIA annex, they had to rescue the State Department folks, and they lost their lives that night when they were in the fight of their life.
Okay, so last question. Are the SEALs that you're still in contact with comfortable serving under a potential Commander-in-Chief, Clinton?
Well, I don't think they have a choice if she gets elected, but they don't want to do it. But, they will. That's their job. It's their duty.
Tej Gill, thank you very much for coming in this morning.
Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
For sure. All right.
In March, Hillary Clinton called Patricia Smith a liar for claiming Clinton said a video caused Benghazi.
You know, look, I feel a great deal of sympathy for the families of the 4 brave Americans that we lost at Benghazi. And I certainly can't even imagine the grief that she has for losing her son. But she's wrong. She's absolutely wrong.
On Sunday, Mrs. Clinton again accused Mrs. Smith of lying.
My heart goes out to both of them. Losing a child under any circumstances, especially in this case, I understand the grief and the incredible sense of loss that can motivate that. As other members of families who lost loved ones have said, that's not what they heard. I don't hold any ill feeling for someone who, in that moment, may not fully recall everything that was or wasn't said.
And it's not just Patricia Smith. Tyrone Woods' father also said Hillary lied.
I gave Hillary a hug and shook her hand, and she said, "We are going to have the filmmaker arrested who was responsible for the death of my son." She made this statement not only to me, but to other family members. Also, a half hour after this happened, when they had the casket ceremony, she also lied to the American public because she said, and these are her words as best as I can recall, rage was directed at American embassies as a result of that awful video that we were not responsible for.
We've seen rage and violence directed at American embassies over an awful internet video that we had nothing to do with.
So she said basically the same thing in private to the families that were grieving, and then a half hour later she said basically the same thing as far as causation to the American public.
So Hillary, who is it that's lying?
She told me that we are going to have the filmmaker arrested who is responsible for the death of your son. Yeah. Okay. Now, let's look at the totality of the facts. She also made this statement apparently to other Gold Star family members as well. I'd never met Pat Smith for probably about at least 6 months afterwards. She was in a different part of the building. Apparently, she made that same statement to Pat Smith and yeah, exactly. And to other Gold Star family members. Now, she basically has said, I never blamed the video for the attack in Benghazi. I never made that statement to the family members. However, about 45 minutes later, she was in front of a live audience, standing in front of the caskets, and she made this statement. She said, she did blame the attack on the video. She said, and as I recall, these were exact words, she said, the rage directed towards the American consulate was a result of that awful video. So basically, you can apply that fact. Why would she say, I didn't blame it on the video to the family members, but then in front of millions of people, she did blame it?
Right.
So
well, Charles, we appreciate
people draw their conclusion.
Well, and that's why we wanted to have you here, and also I wanted to just say thank you on my behalf. I can't speak for anyone else, for you having the guts to stand up and speak truth. It is a commodity, and well, it's somewhat rare these days. We hope it will become more prevalent.
Thank you, Colorado Springs, USA. USA, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, love you all. To all our veterans out there and first responders, God bless you and thank you for what you've done and do every day. You know, there's an ethos that we have in the military, and it's don't leave no man behind. Ask Hillary what she thinks of that one. I've been on the downside of that. You know, Lock her up. Yes, it does. Thank you. You know, I saw a retired general, Marine Corps general, come out and say that Trump isn't good for the military. When I was a young Marine and I went through boot camp, there was a thing, it was an acronym that we have, it's called JJ Did Tie Buckle, and it's to remind you of leadership traits. And it's justice and judgment. Apply those to Hillary, see what you get. Dependability and integrity. Does she have it? No, I don't think so. Decisiveness. No, we know that because she spent 4 hours trying to figure out if the Marines that were going to come to Benghazi should be in uniform or civilian clothes because she was afraid of offending the local Libyans. We have tact and integrity and enthusiasm. Those, I don't think she has that either. Bravery. Well, we know that. She had to lie about sniper fire landing in Bosnia several years ago. Unselfishness. Do we have that in her as a leader? No, because she's all about herself. Courage. Does she have any courage? Knowledge. Well, she has some knowledge. Knowledge how to take care of herself, how to take care of her cronies, those that are going to lie and cheat for her and help her out. Loyalty. Does she have that? Not to America, not to the American people. I just read something the other day that Egypt arrested a guy, I think his name's El-Habab, who actually is a Muslim Brotherhood individual who was also part of the Clinton Foundation. Is that who we want running this country? So if I take all those traits and I apply them to each of the candidates, Hillary fails dramatically. Who rises above on each and every one of those? Donald Trump, that's who does. Who do we want for our president? Do we want somebody who has an integrity, judgment, and decisiveness, all those leadership traits that we look to, or do we want somebody who's going to lie and cheat and tell us what we want to hear to get our vote? That's exactly it. So what we need to do is come together. All of those who don't know or are unsure, think about it. Apply these leadership traits to each and every individual and see what you come up with. The Justice Department and the FBI have also done that, and they've failed short. They know that she has no integrity because she's lied. And a liar is the worst thing that you can have, because if you don't have your word, what do you have? You have nothing. Yeah, you have Hillary. That's what you have. Thank you very much. Colorado Springs, it's great to be here. We're here for Donald Trump. God bless you, and thank you all.
Feeling that we all get when we learn of the selfless stories being told about the men and women who have sacrificed everything on the battlefield for our freedom. Those stories humble us, and they inspire us to wake up every single day and accomplish even more. Hillary was willing to lie in order to take advantage of that feeling of gratitude and awe Americans have for those who serve. Oh, I was under sniper fire and I know what it feels like to be in war. When she was called out for lying, in footage, I'm not sure I see any sniper fire. And what makes this truly disgusting to me is that when she was called on it, she dismissed it as if it was no big deal. Only someone completely arrogant, ignorant, and disrespectful of what really happens in war could say something like that, and all to get people to like you more. I've seen sniper fire, and there's nothing casual, nothing small, and nothing ordinary about fighting for your life on the battlefield. There is an undeniable fear of yourself as the next commander-in-chief.
I certainly do remember that trip to Bosnia, and as Togo said, there was a saying around the White House that if a place was too small, too poor, or too dangerous, the president couldn't go, so send the First Lady. And that's where we went. And I remember landing under sniper fire. There was supposed to be some kind of a greeting ceremony at the airport, but instead we just ran with our heads down to get into the vehicles to get to our base. But it was a moment of great pride for me.
So Hillary claimed she dodged sniper fire to get to her car. Here's a video of what really happened. And in the footage, I'm not sure I see any sniper fire.
That's Senator Clinton talking to me on the military flight into Tuzla. And these are the pictures we recorded of the greeting ceremony when the plane landed.
From the Brian Williams has been all over the news lately. And while he's getting the shaming he deserves, don't think for a second that there aren't thousands of other people out there selling you lies every single day. And I want to make sure you don't lose sight of another liar who thinks she can use the heroism of our nation's armed forces to promote her